Hello, everybody, and welcome back to this week's episode of the Cantina Conversations, the Galaxy's #1 conversational podcast in the galaxy. Before I get into too many introductions, I just want to say I'm very excited for this week's episode. I'm one of your hosts, Will Beeman, joined as always by my two Canadian compadres, starting off with the ever so lovely academic himself, Jackson Wells. Jackson, how are you doing today?
Always learning, always growing, always becoming better. Hopefully.
That's the goal of academia, is to try and hopefully improve yourself. And then joining us again without his Kylo Ren cosplay today.
No, this is a different one. This is my America cosplay because it's got the white, blue, red. Yeah, there we go.
That's right, the America cosplay. We have Mr. Big Boss himself, DJ Giller. DJ, how are you doing today?
I'm great. I'm not as good as your cat though, wandering around your computer desk in the background. I just noticed that's good. That's high quality content.
This is my girlfriend's current work from home office, which is also my podcasting room. So there's a lot of new furniture for him to investigate lately.
No time for work, babe. I got a podcast.
Anyway, we have a very special and awesome guest joining us today. Somebody I have been a fan of for a long time, and I've recently converted DJ and Jackson into being fans as well. We have the host and the creator and the man of everything involving the Star Wars podcast Talking Bay 94, Mr. Brandon Wainerdi. Brandon, how are you doing today?
I'm doing good. Thanks, guys, for inviting me. And you got the last name right. You did it. Like, I know we were worried about that. So I'm doing as well as I can be. So I appreciate the invite.
Yeah, I'm very happy we can make this work. But most importantly, I'm happy that you're safe and that you're healthy and everything's doing well for you. I know you're down in the Dallas, Texas area, who have been going through some unprecedented weather. So it's very nice to see that you're still in one piece and doing well.
Thank you. Yeah, and I'm warm and I'm talking to you guys, and like, what else can I ask for after this week? So I'm feeling good.
Exactly.
So for people who are listening to the show that may not be familiar with Talking Bay 94, we will get into that a little bit since we do have the man himself on the show. But before that, we do have a couple pieces of news that we want to dive into as usual. And that is starting off with the little small piece of news before we dive in, was the announcement of the free-to-play third-person strategy action game coming out for the Switch, Star Wars Hunters, which is being published by Zynga Games. For people my age or older, you might know Zynga as the people behind Mafia from MySpace. So that's way before your time, Jackson and DJ. But
I do remember like Facebook Zynga Games, but not that one.
Oh, I think some of those might have came over. I think they might have had control of Farmville, but
yeah, they were Farmville and everything.
Yeah, so I
was in on that. 11 years old. That was all my jam right there.
That was all you. Yeah. Brandon, I'm not sure if you're part of my generation or not. I'm part of the elder millennials, as the 30 and older crowd. So, Zynga and I go way back. But let's go around the table and give your thoughts just briefly on your excitement on the possibilities of the Star Wars Hunters game. Jackson, I'm going to kick it off to you.
Man, why you gotta do that to me? Because I'm gonna start off with a bummer. When they were like Star Wars Zynga game, that like triggers a lot of thoughts in my head. I am interested to see what's going on there, but as we know, I'm like the least gamer of the crew, so the Star Wars Zynga game might be a little lower on my priorities. But I'll be happy to listen to someone else, i.e., you two, talk about it.
I don't think I'm playing this. Like we haven't seen anything yet, but like just throwing Zynga on there right at the start, I'm just like, oh, this is this is like a mobile / Switch game. Like I don't think I care too much. I would like to apologize to the listeners because last week I promised Republic Commando was coming out. We went over the whole thing where like it leaked on the ratings board. Nintendo Direct is this week, and then I was right. Nintendo Direct was this week. I was like, this is gonna work out for me. I did it. But I apologize. It's not out yet. It will come out, hopefully, But yeah, I'm not super interested in arenas, hunters. Is that I can't even remember. I'm sorry.
I think it's like an arena style game. Yeah. I'm not 100% sure, to be honest. We didn't get
when we see gameplay. Like I'm not gonna watch it, but
yeah,
Brandon,
what about you?
Because I watched the entire Nintendo Direct.
Oh man!
On my I had my Wi-Fi finally, and it was grainy. I was like, all right, here we go.
I do see the Switch behind you, so that's
good.
So
you're at. I mean, I'm at least somewhat invested in having new Star Wars specific content to the Switch, which we don't get that often, right? Besides ports. And actually, the thing I was playing all week, because the only thing that I had battery for during all these blackouts was my Switch and like handheld. So I had Racer finally came in through limited runs. So I played. I beat Racer this week, which is cool.
That's cool.
About that. But Racer reminded me of how nice sometimes having a simple Star Wars game is, right? Like, because whenever these phone games come out, I always end up playing for like 2 or 3 weeks, and then I forget about it and I delete it and it's over. And this feels like that. Depending on the price point, I will probably pick it up and buy it or try it. And I feel in my mind, it's them trying to do a Fortnite sort of thing, right? Like, and see if they could capitalize
That
on
battle
which I think is-
pass.
Yeah.
right? Which I think it's interesting. I'm terrible at Fortnite and at all, the games that all the 7-year-olds are like, crushing me at, and so I probably will get tired of it very quickly. But it's fine. I don't know. Like the whole Nintendo Direct, I was kind of like whatever with. So new Star Wars content to the Switch is like a 6 out of 10 automatically for me. So I'll take it, I guess.
Not hyped for Miitopia.
I was like, well, the only thing I was hyped for was what's the Hades game that's getting a physical release for Wii?
Yeah, Hades. That's what it's
Or
called.
for Switch. Yeah, Hades. So I will probably pick that up because I've seen so many people play it.
Hades
this
is
is
really good.
This is a new quarantine purchase for me. This was the second week of quarantine last March, and I got one, right? And so it's been like my saving grace the past year. So I'm excited for whatever. I'm really not that picky, I guess.
Maybe I'm like the most Nintendo shill out of all of us because like
That's
I'm gonna
not
play
true.
this game and I'm gonna go all in, but I also pre-ordered like almost every game announced during that direct. Even Miitopia. I'm just give me all the Switch content. That's fine. But I'm kind of hesitant on it the same way that Brandon is, where I'm curious to see how this plays out because there is like that Star Wars I can't even remember. Yeah,
Galaxy of Heroes?
Conquest maybe.
Galaxy of
no,
Heroes.
yeah,
There's
Galaxy
yeah.
of Heroes. That's what it is. I started playing that on my mobile phone, and then that lasted maybe a month, and then I forgot about it, and I just never went back to it. I just removed it from my phone maybe a month ago because I was like, oh, I haven't played this game in about a year, so no point in keeping it on here. But I'm curious to see how this plays out. I'm hoping it's not just a microtransaction filled game and it's actually somewhat of a fun experience I can drop in and out of like every night when I'm trying to wind down for bed. But we'll see how it plays out. I'm kind of like Brandon as well though, where any Star Wars news for the video game consoles gets me excited. So
very interesting that they like revealed a Star Wars game in a Nintendo Direct that as of right now is like only on the Switch. So interesting at the very least. Nintendo gets some weird gets.
And it's interesting to me too because it's after this news about Lucasfilm Games and EA not being the sole thing anymore, which is cool. So I'm like, okay, if we just get more, like again, I think we've held Star Wars video games so precious over the past 7 or 8 years, just because we don't get that many. And so something like Battlefront comes out and it's like a personal affront to us because you're like, well, this isn't a complete game. But if we were getting a new Star Wars game every 3 months, which I think we will be getting now, I think that's cool. And so like, who cares if something?
I'd rather take like 3 of these and then like a couple really good games than like 3 games over the course of 7 years.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So we'll move on from there to the next piece of news before we get into this episode's topics, and that is the exclusive reveal from Corey Van Dyke, notably of the Kessel Run Transmissions, and he revealed recently that Ezra Bridger has been having some live action casting, and the rumor to play him and is in talks is Mina Massoud, the lead actor, most notably from the live action Aladdin film. And I'm sure he's been in other things beside that. I'm just not familiar with any of them.
He was in a movie last year. I can't remember the name.
Yeah, so I mean that would be a good example of Disney and Lucasfilm using an actor that is within their house, already knows how to work within their format, which would be a good, reliable hire. And we'll kick this off around the table, see what everyone's thoughts on this actor potentially playing Ezra Bridger in live action would be. And we'll go in reverse this time. We'll kick it off with Brandon to start it off.
Great. Well, I'm of 2 minds, both very positive, which is first, Ezra, especially in the first season of Rebels, is a very Aladdin-like character, right? Like almost like to a T. The first episode especially really sets him up to be kind of a street rat or whatever it is, right? It's very Aladdin-like.
Right.
So it's super cool that they're kind of, bringing that together. And so I think he's a good fit in that sense. The second is more personal, which is like, it's very interesting to me, especially with how POC coded the actual characters of Rebels were, that they are really taking that approach when they're casting these live action components, which I think is super great. I think the only one that sticks out in my mind that maybe is not is Kanan, of the main cast. So this is a good, in my opinion, like way to diversify Star Wars in a way that doesn't feel for some people heavy-handed or whatever it is. But then also, this is only, I think, the second Middle Eastern actor that's been cast in a major Star Wars role besides Riz Ahmed. And I think he's a man is Egyptian, which is super cool. Because I'm from my mom immigrated from Iraq for the same reason. Because I did a bunch of research on them last night. My mom immigrated from Iraq because they were Christian, so they moved to the United States, and then his family immigrated from Egypt because they were Christian. They moved to Canada. So I was like, this is great. Like, you know, again, representation in Star Wars means a lot more than just casting people. And he's a talented actor, and I'm really excited to see, hopefully, that it pans out.
Okay. Were you a big fan of the Aladdin film?
I saw it. I've never been like, I've always been hesitant with the live action Disney movies. I love the originals. I was very surprised with how much I enjoyed the Aladdin one, but I think it was mostly because I really loved Aladdin growing up. And so like everything was like super great. And so in terms of music and in terms of the story, so I think I was more prone to like it than maybe Beauty and the Beast or something like that. I think I gave it a 6 out of 10 or something, which is better. I mean, it's still not like a 9 out of 10 that the original was,
right?
But like he was fine in it, and everyone was fine. It was just more like, why do this?
Right.
I think that's the issue with those movies. Is a lot of people are like, "Oh, why do these exist?" And in some ways they agree, but like it makes they're in Aladdin. You go, "Oh, that's bad." Well, not necessarily. It's just maybe the movie itself I didn't love. Yeah.
Right.
DJ, you can go now.
I was super glad when I saw that they actually did get a Middle Eastern actor, just because like I had seen so many mock-ups of people being like, "Oh, this white guy could play him," and I was just like, "Oh, guys, please, like, let's get this one right." And I'm glad they are doing it. So that's all. I'm excited to see Ezra and Ahsoka. Like, let's continue that plot line. Let's go. But I've never seen this actor in anything. My only connection to him is that Jackson said he knows a guy he went to high school with him. That's my connection.
Yeah,
which is really Jackson's connection. So
yeah, I think this is cool. I really like the kind of commitment in the, I guess, quote unquote Disney era of like in between that 3 and 4, where Rogue One has a lot of like characters of like diverse backgrounds, and Rebels is, as like Brandon said, like coded that way. It's animation, so it's a little harder to tell 100%. And I just think that that's a really interesting and, in my opinion, like smart kind of choice. It's just the idea of like that era as like the age of like rebellion and like starting to kind of like rise up against like the most obviously oppressive regime in like all of fiction, like the Empire, is I think a really nice kind of addition that has come in the more recent years. And I think continuing that's super cool. So yeah, but like you said, I never saw Aladdin, so this actor, I assume he will be pretty cool in the role. But in general, I'm excited to see Ezra, as people have been talking about that like basically since Mandalorian started. So
I'm excited. I'm more than the confirmation of the actor. I'm excited that confirmation that like, not confirmation, but like pretty much confirmation that like, yes, we are doing Ezra Bridger in the Ahsoka show. It's all coming together really. What Will has been predicting is for years of Ahsoka being the Rebels sequel. We all actually thought we were getting. It's all coming true for us. It's gonna be great. So
I know I don't try to get too big of a head when like things that I've guessed end up falling into place like this, but it's like almost perfect. But
yeah, from episode 2 of Mando, you're just like, they're gonna do an Ahsoka show, and it's gonna be the Rebel sequel series. You guys need to stop talking about the animated one.
And our claim to fame for our podcast is I said Cobb Vanth was going to be in season 2 before anyone reported that, and that's what ended up happening. I do wonder though, with the announcement of this casting, I'm excited for it. I've seen the Aladdin film, and I'm like Brandon. I thought it was fine. I love the original, but like I thought he was a good actor in it, and I think he'll crush it as Ezra Bridger for sure. But how much of a sigh of a relief do you think Raul Cooley took, knowing that now the casting rumors are finally off his back after all of the Twitter stuff that he would stir up himself?
I think he loves it though. Like he keeps going for it. Like he loves it, but you know, I'm sure there's some times where he's like, I've had enough of this guy in my mentions, you know.
He's
I
probably
do-
a little tired of hearing about Ezra.
He is super smart though, because all the things he's doing, he's not going to be Ezra or any character that's established, but he is going. I mean, if you want to stake a claim, like he will be in a Star Wars thing in the next 3 years, in some sense, right? That he's established himself as a high profile person that likes Star Wars, like Bobby Moynihan, or like all these people that have kind of come into the fold. And like they're like, yeah, why not? Let's bring him in and be whoever, right?
Yeah.
He's
Especially
game
when
for
they're
it.
Meme is probably going to help him in that cause.
Yeah.
Of just being like, Lucasfilm knows who he is now because they keep seeing this stuff and be like, what's going? Why do people think this guy's gonna be Ezra? What are they talking about? And now
Well,
he's in their back pocket. They're like, oh,
Right.
maybe.
Plus, now until they recast, they're missing a side character in The Mandalorian, so they could always bring a new one in.
Cara Dune.
He could be Cara Dune, the new Cara Dune. Is Rob.
Someone's made the mock up. Someone's done it.
Yeah, but yeah, that's pretty much it that I had, at least down for news in the past week. I don't know if you guys had anything else to add.
You super anti-Johnson trilogy? Is that what you're telling
Jackson
me?
Moore is directed by
that's
Ryan
right.
Johnson.
There
Wow.
was the
Featured
interview
just
that he
released.
did with that
Wow.
author confirming he's still working on it. I guess
I don't
we
think there's
can-
much to say, honestly.
Yeah,
We're just like, he still said he's doing it, I guess.
This is also
Yeah.
just like the most comfortable sweater I own, so it's
I-
that's just kind of no coincidence there.
I know that the three of you are huge The Last Jedi stands and big Ryan Johnson stands, so I can already assume you guys are excited about this news.
And you,
this
on
is
the
what you wanted to
contrary,
hear.
hate him and think that he ruined
no,
Star Wars.
No.
You-
It's not that I hate
Ruin
him.
Johnson. Yeah.
You put out that
Ruin
script video where you made the
Johnson.
changes, right? It was
Yeah,
you?
that's right. I
Yeah.
put in all those script changes to make the movie so much worse. But no, I'm just not as hot on The Last Jedi
No,
as you guys. It's okay, though.
I'm only bringing it up to tease you. Well, I
I
think
know.
it is. I think it's. I'll be honest, I think it's weird that he's still doing this project. It seems like timing and like the critical discourse surrounding Star Wars: The Last Jedi. I would just not if I were him. But I guess
Yeah.
if you got a story to tell, cool. I think it's weird the way that it was like dropped in an interview with
Like with an author
via
not-
Twitter.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That is real. Like she didn't make that up. She was definitely talking to him. I don't know. I saw the tweet and went cool and didn't investigate it any further. So could be
Nice.
lies.
Yeah,
Right.
it's not that surprising though when you think about all of Johnson's exit interviews with The Last Jedi. While the discourse was as hot as it ever was, were him being thankful to the fans, which is like he's a better man than I really. Because I'd be gone. Like I'd be like, yeah, you know what? I'm just gonna delete my Twitter account and live on I made this money. I'm gonna live on some random ranch somewhere. No one bothers
He's
me.
gonna
ever.
Luke Skywalker it.
Yeah, he's gonna exactly out exile myself at that point. So good for him for sticking with it. And he legitimately wants to make another Star Wars movie, which is crazy, but good for him.
No, I mean, I think it's very interesting that it's still happening, and I'm more glad. Like, yeah, if it happens in 10 years, like that gives him 10 years of time to like make all these cool other Ryan Johnson movies, right? Because that's what you
Yeah.
forget. Like, yeah, I mean, like Brothers Bloom and Looper and all the I mean, like the things that he was making, and then the Knives Out sequel. I think he wants to make a Knives Out sequel and then make something also original, and then go back to Star Wars. You know, so I mean, that's giving us 5 years right there, really, of production and
Yeah.
releases and everything.
Brick 2 when? That's what I'm asking.
Rick too, right?
Yeah, that's the movie that needs a sequel. Is Brick
Joseph
of all of
Gordon-Levitt's
them,
like the
but-
father of some other kid that goes to the same school, it's dealing with similar issues and all this stuff. It'd be good.
Yeah, DJ's already writing it.
That's a good
He's
movie.
like he's the father that pours the milk bowl of cereal in that scene at the Penn's house. Like he's that parent in the movie.
You got
It
you
would
got
all
your
work
great.
brick knowledge.
That's a
down,
good
DJ.
idea.
Yeah.
I like
Yeah.
it.
Brandon, for the record, I am not one of the Last Jedi haters. Don't
Sure.
let their teasing distract
I
you.
was gonna just log off of this interview. I was
Yeah,
gonna be like, you know
I
what?
was
It's-
like,
it's
well, let's
done.
not scare our guest
No,
off because
I don't care.
I don't. But yeah, I do like the movie just fine.
As long as it's not your, and it's not, 'cause it's as long as it's not your Twitter personality, right? Everything what
Oh,
you tweet
yeah,
is like tweeting at
absolutely.
Ryan Johnson saying, you know, fuck off. Like then it's fine. Like
Yeah,
it's fine to
right,
not like something. I
right.
don't like a lot of things. I just don't make it my, you know,
I hate
everyday
Yeah,
life.
no, I do like the movie, just not high up as you guys do. Out of the sequel trilogy, the one I love the most is The Force Awakens. So that's the one that I hold on my high pedestal.
Good movie.
but-
Surprise,
It's a
surprise.
good movie.
Yeah. So but yeah, I'm still excited for him to be attached to this. It's just with him every time he gives an update on it, he says there's no timetable, and that's the status every time. And maybe that's just because he's kind of known, at least to me. I don't know how well known it is. He works on one project at a time, and he's clearly working on Knives Out 2 right now. Maybe he has another idea in store after that, and then he'll get to it. But I've never seen The Brothers Bloom. That's the one film of his filmography I never saw.
It's an interesting movie.
Fun. Yeah,
I watched it last year.
But everything I have watched of his, I love. So there's no reason for me to think, just because he's going to work on this, that I'm going to hate it, and I don't think it should happen. It's just, I wish we could have more concrete details, I guess, or maybe just like lob a date out just to get us attached to something. But
my last note on this is one of my favorite tweets ever is this tweet where it's like, I was at the theater watching Knives Out, and the credits roll, and it says written and directed by Rian Johnson, and some guy yells up and screams, "No, not him! I liked that."
That's how some people have been, though. But that's just the state of where we're at with some things. But we've gone into that on quite a few episodes in the past, so we don't need to go into that.
Some for 4 hours.
No, we did not go 4 hours. Brandon, our episode about The Last Jedi was a little over 3 hours, but it was not
longer than the movie.
Bad. Yeah, longer than the movie.
If you're not longer than the movie, you're not doing it right.
Right. But yeah, so that's it for the news in the past week. So we're gonna go ahead and put Brandon up on the spotlight here. And as I said in our introduction, he is the creator, the host, the man of everything behind Talking Bay 94. It's a great Star Wars interview podcast. It's one I've been listening to for a long time. And I knew when we were ready to start having guests on this show, Brandon was at the top of my list, because I think he'd be a perfect fit for not only our show, but as a creator of Star Wars love. I thought he was the first one we should reach out to bring in. So Brandon, why don't you kind of give our listeners a little bit of a rundown on where the idea for Talking Bay 94 came from and how it came to fruition?
Well, first off, that was way too nice. Thank you for saying those nice things.
That's not what we agreed on.
I was like, I did not pay you to say that, but it really feels like this is a sponsored podcast. No, it's not. Thank you. That means a lot. Talking Bay 94 is me. It's one-on-one interviews with people that made Star Wars. So cast, crew, and creators is what I like to say. So anyone from authors to animators to VFX people to people that were on set to, people in costumes in Jabba's palace, whatever it is. And it really started with me watching The Last Jedi, actually. And I kind of came out of that movie and I was like, how can I be more part of Star Wars and bring my fandom and kind of physicalize it for myself? And so I spent the rest of that, that was December, so it was kind of like break kind of season, and I spent that like 3-week period, and I listened, and I kind of typed in on Google. I was like, what Star Wars podcasts are going on? And of course there were like 1,000. I was like, okay, so I listened to Blast Point's great show. I listened to like 100 episodes within like 3 weeks, and I was like, this is great, because they like dealt with like minutia and like the really kind of Star Wars that I gravitate towards, which is like the weird and the funny and like loving every part of it and loving the parts that you love really passionately. And so I reached out to my producer and I was like, hey, we should do a Star Wars podcast. And he's like, sure. And so I spent 6 months kind of getting it ready and interviewing some people, reaching out to some contacts that I had from going to conventions and just kind of being a part of the fandom in a different way. And then we launched it the week that Solo came out. So it was kind of during that 6-month period. And we've been going strong ever since. So that's 3 years ago, and episode 100 should be coming out pretty soon, and it's fun stuff. So anyway, that's Talking Bay, and that's me, and that's pretty much it.
Yeah, I even love too how my original love for Star Wars kind of came full circle, because in the last couple weeks you had Paul Duncan, who creates the Star Wars Archives books that I love. I have both of those and I love those. And then you also had Paul Davids on your show, who's the co-author of The Glove of Darth Vader, which was the first Star Wars book I ever owned. So it's just wild that like one of my favorite podcasts has also had some of like my childhood connections to them as well. It's just great to have that come full circle. But
I mean, you got to read this book.
Yeah. So, do I need to read this
don't
book?
have to read it.
No,
you
can
read the books.
You don't have to, but you do. I even went back and
it's crazy.
And my parents got rid of a lot of my Star Wars and stuff I grew up with a long time ago, because like as you grow older, your parents just assume, oh, well, they don't need this anymore. They thought eventually I'd stop being a nerd, and I never did. So I tracked down and rebought a copy of The Glove of Darth Vader after that episode so I could reread it and relive fourth grade again. And then I was like,
Yeah.
well, this is definitely written for children and definitely written at a different time, but it was still fun to breeze through, since it took me like 2 hours to read through the whole thing, since it's definitely like a young children thing. But I love how you pull some of the most obscure crew members out of Star Wars history, and they have the greatest stories to tell. And I think that's a testament to your interviewing strength, is you're able to pull these stories out of these people who, to a common person, would just be, okay, they were a puppeteer on Return of the Jedi. That doesn't really mean much, but they have this years-long storied history in the film industry that they'll tell you, and they're always very honest in your interviews, which I love the most about them, is they hold nothing back. I can't remember the gentleman's name, but it was somebody that had worked a lot on the Muppets, and he was really going in about how he was like, I don't think Disney knows how to handle the Muppets property yet, and
Yes, I remember
this is what they need to do with the Muppets property to bring them back. And I was like, this guy's not holding anything back on this podcast.
No.
He's
Kirk Thatcher was mad, man.
He was letting his feelings out on how the Muppets should be handled from going forward. So that was really what got us thinking too, is with that, when we had reached out to you and we're like, well, what should the topic for Brandon's episode be? And we were like, well, remember that episode we all listened to with that guy going about the Muppets? And we were like, let's cast a Muppets Star Wars property. And Jackson, do you want to take the lead from here?
Actually, I have a question actually about interviewing, because one of the things that like we do when we do like a Star Wars show is like we also have like other interests, and so we like talk about a lot of different stuff. We're like, oh no, we're doing a Star Wars show, so we should probably talk about that. I know a lot of times you interview people who like you work on Star Wars and you like go on and it's like a job that you do and you move on. How do you kind of like tease out and then like decide where to lead the story about like moving on? So like someone worked on like the titles for the first Star Wars, and then they have like a career after that. Like where do you kind of go from there?
Yeah, because that's been a big focus of mine, because if I just was reaching out to people, I was like, let's talk about what you did on Star Wars, they'd be like, I don't care, right? But what I try to do is every episode's chronological about their career. And so first it's like their inspirations and what they love and like why they got into the movies or why they got into whatever they ended up doing. And so they're able to talk about their personal passions. And then I kind of lead into Star Wars as much as I can. And let's say it's an hour-long episode, I try to have Star Wars be about 20 minutes of that episode, just so that people listening for Star Wars are like, yes, I got the Star Wars content that I need. And then I try to pivot as much as I can to properties, especially either that they've brought up in the past that they're specifically passionate about, or ones that I can speak on even more, right? And that I know, for instance, like if it is Raiders of the Lost Ark or Jurassic Park or whatever, that the people listening to the podcast will probably also care. But that way, the person I'm interviewing feels like a complete person, right? Like I'm tackling every part of who they are. And then I'm able in editing to kind of focus on different things as necessary. But it's a big, thank you for bringing that up, because it is a big part of kind of at least the approach initially, because I don't, especially some people that worked on Star Wars for 5 seconds, that I still wanted to talk to them because they worked on Jurassic Park or whatever. It's like, okay, let me do as much as I can so that the people can feel comfortable and feel appreciated.
And then as a follow-up, I assume these interviews are like much longer than they get edited down to be. What's the editing process like? I'm so sorry for asking that.
No, it's great. No. It's the worst. It's really bad. Because you're right. So like, for instance, let's go back to that hour-long recording. I probably edit a full 20 minutes out of the episode. 5 minutes of that are ums and spaces, or they're going back. Some of it is contextual, and I just kind of clip things out that maybe are dragging or ranting. Like, for instance, if I'm ranting right now, please clip this out.
This is a video show. You're stuck with it. Or else
no. Okay, I'll stop. Right, I'm being still, and then you can.
Okay, good. Got it.
So thank you. And then some of it, if it is potentially career harming, or sometimes some people will go off on a tangent. I'm like, I hate being like positive, quote unquote. Like I think that's kind of whatever. But like if it's intentionally just kind of like crappy or just like who cares. For instance, he's been in the news recently. One of my first interviews was with Alan Dean Foster, who wrote the Star Wars novelization and some of the months. Nice guy, and he did so many cool things. But then he spent the last like 20 minutes of the interview like crapping on the sequel trilogy, and I was like, I don't know, I don't need this in the episode. Like this is gone. And you can read all of that on his website. That's not a secret. I was like, I just don't need that energy at all in this episode. So stuff like that. So yeah, about 20 minutes is cut out. So if it's an hour-long episode, it's probably about a 3.5, 4-hour total process of like getting it ready and exported and everything like that. So it is what it is, but just a blast.
Yeah, I remember seeing his comments on the sequel trilogy, but boy, am I still the biggest fan of Splinter of the Mind's Eye.
Right? Yeah. No, that's the thing too. It's like celebrate for what they did. And then if they have bad takes, just cut it out. Like you brought up the Muppet episode. Yeah. There was another 10 minutes in there that I was like, let me just cut this out. Like, we got the point. Let's go. Just anyway. So yeah, it is what it is.
Yeah, and that's one of the other things too that I like is getting into the like the weirder stuff. I was looking for other Star Wars podcasts to listen to, and Will suggest like 4 or 5 of them, and I think the thing that's kind of unique is like the interview format. Because a lot of people, I'm conscious of this when we do it, is like when we just talk, I'm like, would I listen to this? And so that's why we try to do like weird stuff on the show sometimes. Not saying that interviewing you is weird is a weird thing.
No, hey, I'll take it.
I mean, it is weird because we haven't had a guest yet.
The weird thing is doing a Muppets casting of Star Wars. That's the weird part about it.
Yeah.
So like finding that kind of like weird back corner of like the Star Wars universe is, I also think, very interesting, like healthy to like learning how things are made, because particularly with Star Wars, maybe just because we're in it a lot, that can be something that's really easy, like, this is bad, and it's like, well, and especially like I like a lot of the episodes, now I'm ranting, with people interviewed with who worked on like the prequels and stuff, which are generally held in like a little lower regard and stuff, but like the process of making those things is still fascinating and like really interesting to learn people talk about.
It's not like there weren't talented people there that have amazing stories of what they did. They were very talented people making those movies.
Yeah. I like to describe Brandon's podcast as a weekly version of the documentary Elstree 1976, where he's picking out people that you don't know about that worked on Star Wars, but then they have a fascinating story behind themselves. So that's why it's worth listening to every week. I'm sorry, I'm just such a big Brandon fanboy. Everyone's going to think we're paid by him.
Keep it going. This is good. This is warming me up. I've been in the cold for a week. This is great. I love it. To touch on it briefly, a couple of things that y'all have all mentioned. Thank you, for one, the prequels especially have been interesting to talk to people that worked on them, because I grew up with them, right? And so I hold them in a different esteem than a lot of fans, especially older than all of us, might. And what's interesting talking to them, sometimes I cut it out, sometimes I don't, but like bringing up like, hey, FYI, there are like a ton of people that love this movie, and like they went through 20 years of like seeing on the internet or seeing in newspapers, seeing whatever, that people didn't like the thing that they put all their passion into. So that's been a very interesting thing to kind of evangelize, that there are people out there that grew up with these now, that are now 30 years old and buying, Jar Jar Binks Black Series toys, so it's like,
which I did.
I bought 2 versions. Yeah, it's great. I feel really good about it. And so I really like being able to contribute in a very small way to that, of just, especially the people that worked on it, that very minor way of kind of telling them like, hey, FYI, like you don't have to be ashamed that you worked on Watto. Like people love Watto. It's fine.
It's the best.
And I guess the secondary element of it too is the reverse. And we were talking about it before the show, of like what we don't like, what we do like, whatever it is. And there's a difference between positivity and constant positivity in fandom. And then there's also a thing that I've been very lucky to do when I'm talking to these people, which is if I don't like something in Star Wars, right, and I get to talk to the person that like made that happen or worked on that, and you can hear their passion, you can hear like that they weren't trying to just like screw with what I like about Star Wars.
Yeah.
Then it really like elevates like your love of everything, right? And then that's really helped me maybe the most recent installment of a Star Wars movie was not my favorite Star Wars movie of all time, but like being able to talk to all these people that worked on it really has helped me at least enjoy watching it or come back to it or think about it in a different way. And so I'm very lucky to be able to hear that firsthand, but then hopefully the podcast is able to at least do some kind of bridge building between opinions and like how things are made and kind of educate a little bit.
And it's especially considering like Star Wars is a so production like rich series to talk to people about. Like the original trilogy is like pioneering their own stuff, the prequels as well, and then just like all of the various little intricacies throughout it doesn't make for boring stories at the very least.
Thank you. Yes.
It's funny though that you mentioned like people our age that are defending the prequels. The other day I had my younger brother came over and I showed him my new version of my man cave in my house, which is the walls are lined with all of my action figures that I've collected. And he was looking around the wall or the room and he was like, "Why do you have 5 Jar Jar Binks toys?" And I was like, "Because I love the Phantom Menace. I'm sorry, I really do." so there are people like us out there that and I think the last Star Wars celebration we were able to have in Chicago, I think Ahmad Best finally was able to feel that love that he was deprived of for 20 years, unfairly and unreasonably. So I think that's a big part of him being back into the Star Wars verses, that he was actually able to see like, oh yeah, I did have a lasting impact on people that grew up with these films, and I am loved. So I think that's what's great about time being the biggest healer, I guess you could say. But
definitely.
But yeah, DJ, do you have any questions for Brandon before we move on to the main topic of the episode?
I'm on the go. Let's go.
Okay. Yeah.
It's over.
We always know DJ's the man of many words.
I have questions, but it's also like I don't want to go too long. Let's get into it, you know?
Okay. All right. So wow, I'm in charge. This is the second week in a row that you put me in charge. Well, and the first one we read BuzzFeed quizzes. So
it's more pressure. More pressure. This one's got Brandon on.
I've got a really good track record here. So as some of you may know, loyal listeners and around on Friday, so last Friday, our podcast was on Mondays. The Muppet Show released on Disney Plus for the first time for streaming, which is super exciting, but also just in general, the Muppets are super great. And I've been evangelizing some of their various properties, especially the past couple months. I don't know, Brandon, have you ever watched that 2015 like Office style documentary like sitcom series?
I did.
It's so fun.
It's very good. Yeah. I'm a new fan of that. And before I do have one question before we get into the Muppets thing. I completely forgot to ask at the beginning. Brandon, it was either last week's episode or the week before. Our own DJ answered a question saying that in the context of the crew that he is with in Star Wars, that Chewbacca is annoying. And I just want to know before we get into this, if you would find in the context of who he hangs out with, grave. If Chewbacca would be annoying or not.
Here is I have to defend myself here. The question was, would he be annoying like on like the missions with? And my argument is like, you got a Wookiee on board. You can't sit on a spot he sat in because it's covered in fur. Like how do you go in the same bathroom as that guy? Like if you're stuck in the Millennium Falcon with this dude for weeks, that's probably a bad time. You would think. Like I love Chewie, but it's probably, let's be real here, it's gonna be a bad time.
I wonder, because Han to me feels like the most uppity of any of the Star Wars characters, right? In terms of like needing space or needing, whatever. And I wonder, like you're saying, I think the Millennium Falcon only has one bathroom, right?
Yeah.
You think after 20 years of them running around or whatever it is, that he wouldn't be like, this sucks, right? Like, or he wouldn't like try to make, like, I wonder, maybe Chewie cleans up after himself. Maybe he's hyper aware. Maybe he's been, it's like a dog. Maybe. It's like,
yeah.
I think he's fine.
So it's just DJ that finds him annoying. All right,
I'm not saying he's a write-off. I'm just saying it would probably would be
DJ hates Chewbacca, right?
Yes, DJ hates Chewbacca.
Love his
carry on now, Jackson. I just wanted to make sure DJ was alone in that thought.
Awesome. Okay, so yeah, like I was saying, the Muppets. Spoilers. This is a Star Wars podcast we do, so we're gonna tie it in there. I've decided just for fun we can maybe fan cast the Muppets into Star Wars, and I was trying to think of a real quick movie name off the top of my head, but maybe we'll decide that later. So I just for our reference, I listed like I looked back at that list and I listed way too many. It's just for reference. We don't have to put all of these people together.
I feel like we're not going to cast everyone.
No,
We can
no.
bebop it all around there.
I think maybe the easiest way to do this is Star Wars 77 original New Hope. We'll cast that group, which I think is all at the top.
But I think if you have like a galaxy brain fantastic idea for Watto or Qui-Gon Jinn, I think you should be allowed to do that. I think that's
100%, 100%. So think of your classic characters. DJ is, I think, going to act in a support role in this because
I'll be writing everything down for everyone so we can keep track.
Okay, so I think maybe when we get started, this is I'm going to get controversial here. I'll start this off.
Okay,
Luke Skywalker. Luke Skywalker. Obviously Kermit, right? No, not Kermit. I'm thinking Gonzo.
Ooh.
I agree. No, I agree. Because canonically, technically, they've done a couple things, right? There's been the toys with the mashups, and there was Muppet Babies. And in both cases, Kermit's always Luke. But then they always put Miss Piggy as Princess Leia, which she's the main Muppet. It doesn't work for me, right? So it's like, who cares? So that doesn't work, right? But what you're saying, if Gonzo was Luke, and then maybe you made Kermit Han or whatever, that would work much better with relationship wise. Maybe it doesn't fit Kermit's personality as well, but I agree with what you at least said generally.
Yeah, Gonzo would be a good Luke. That's actually good to
picture I'm going to go back there someday, but under the Twin Suns
with Gonzo.
That's a great idea.
Come on.
Let me spice it up a little bit, because if we are casting Muppet Star Wars or whatever it is, right? Much like Muppet Christmas Carol or Muppet Treasure Island or whatever it is, all of those have one real person. And Mark Hamill has done it. Mark Hamill loves the Muppets. If it was just Luke Skywalker as Mark Hamill, that could be really cool. And then you can cast everyone else. And then it's just him, but then he's dealing with everyone. That could be great.
They could make a new Muppet Star Wars with Luke's time on Octo.
Oh, I love it. Sign me up.
That's how it could be.
Man.
But yeah,
the Porgs could sing. The dream he had.
The Porgs would have a music number 100%.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
It would be like the chickens. That's what. Oh man, that's good. That's good. Okay.
So am I walking in Luke Skywalker as himself? Are we into this?
I would think so. I think Mark Hamill would be willing to do that no matter when.
Let's do it, man.
Are we CGIing him, or are we doing old Mark Hamill?
No, we got to just do old Mark Hamill.
Okay, old Luke Skywalker as
I think Luke Skywalker is the human, but alternatively, I think it'd be really funny if I can't remember the actor's name. If Grand Moff Tarkin continued on as
Peter
the human, Peter Cushing, that would be very funny. Very, very big Michael Caine vibes with him.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, but I think that's good. And then let's think about this. And then Miss Piggy it's Leia, right? Like that one's a little too easy.
Yeah, Miss Piggy is Leia. They even have like the same attitude, really.
Yeah, I'd say so. From my limited Muppets knowledge, I think that sounds right to me.
Yeah, a little bit of a karate chop.
Yeah. Miss Piggy karate chopping stormtroopers to get out of his trouble. That would be great.
Because you bring up old man Luke. I know this is completely veering off. If we're doing, because I think we should cast 77. But if you're doing old man Luke and Miss Piggy potentially plays Rey, her karate chopping, like learning on the island, would be funny, right? Her like slicing through the rock or whatever, like her karate chopping, that'd be pretty good. So
that would be
I'm
pretty good
that too.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Here's an idea. Now we're doing, I think Obi-Wan, Alec Guinness Obi-Wan is a tough one.
That should be the Eagle.
Sam Eagle.
Yeah, Sam Eagle.
I feel like Sam Eagle's a little more evil than that though, and I don't know. He just seems like a bad guy.
Okay.
I think Sam Eagle might be Tarkin.
Ooh, I could see that. That's pretty good. He could even wear the slippers. That'd be great.
Yes.
That'd be good. Let's see, who would my backup be then for that? For old man,
who would be funny? Oh, you go ahead.
No, go for it.
I was gonna say Swedish Chef could be a funny Obi-Wan with the real hands, like opening the cloak, and he does like the crate dragon yell. You know, it's like, ooh, it'd be great. I think it'd be a lot of fun.
Instead of hello there, it's like boobity boober.
I think it'd be great.
I like that.
That would be a good twist on it to put Swedish Chef as Obi-Wan, like him trying to show Luke how to use the training droid, and he's just like throwing a lightsaber hilt between him, and he's got like tossing up the droid.
And then picture the trench run where his voice comes up to
the force.
All right, I feel like you guys like this one. I'm gonna lock it in.
Yeah, that's a good call. That's a good call.
Now I have a quick question here. If Miss Piggy is confirmed our Leia, are we locking in Kermit as our Han? Is that, or do we need to do something different there? Because that just makes sense. But it's, we're having a fun time here. We can mix it up.
Kermit would be fun as Han, though.
I think it's fine.
Yeah. Let's lock Kermit.
My bigger question is, who is Chewbacca? Right, because I think canonically it's always been Rolf as Chewbacca, right? Which would make sense. But like,
wouldn't it be funnier though if it was Pepe?
Could be funny as Pepe. I was thinking Sweetums, who's like one of my personal favorite Muppets, but just because of the sizes, and he also kind of has the demeanor, right? He can be sweet, he can be kind of aggressive.
Oh yeah,
that could be cool.
I like Sweetums. Fozzie Bear is also another obvious. But I think we might want to save Fozzie for those droids we got to think about too.
Interesting. I have thoughts on.
I was going to ask this too. Is there a Muppet equivalent of like a nondescript large enemy force? Like, could there be is there like a consistent group of massive amounts of Muppets that could be droids or stormtroopers, or is there no consistency there?
You could do the chickens. It would have to be chickens.
Maybe. Okay. I want to hear the C-3PO and R2D2 thoughts.
For me,
yeah,
I think of duos, right? And it's
right.
It's Dr. Bunsen and Beaker, right?
Oh yeah. 100%.
And Beaker does the little beeps already, right? So you're done. It's over.
Yeah. And Bunsen's kind of got the uppity protocol.
Right. He's a little.
I like that.
That's like a born. There's no way that those Muppets aren't somehow inspired by R2 and C-3PO.
I'm sure there's the action figure. I have to look at the action figures because I'm sure that's who they picked.
Oh, that would make a lot of sense too.
No, let me see. Who did they pick?
Ooh, Scooter's
because no, they picked Scooter and Muppet Babies, but then Beaker.
Were you looking at the
C-3PO on the Palisades toys? I'm very confused by some of these choices.
Were you looking at the Disneyland toys?
Yeah.
I was looking at those like a couple weeks ago on eBay, and I was like,
they're a little expensive. I tweeted about it right before he came on because I was trying to find inspiration, and that's so weird. I might not buy these just because Beaker is C-3PO in these toys, and Dr. Bunsen is R2D2, and I'm like, that's so stupid. And they're doing it because of the size, because Beaker is taller, and so they wanted it to like size-wise work, but that doesn't make any sense. With their character, so can't cancel this Palisades 2005 toy line.
That saves me a little bit of money, so that's good.
I'll just bid on it anyway.
Yeah, I'm thinking. Okay, this one's easy, so I'm just gonna say it. The Cantina Band is Dr. Teeth and Electric Mayhem. Like that's easy.
Yeah.
That's easy money. We don't even need to.
They're also the people that do Jedi Rocks with Slice Noodles.
Yeah, they're the Max Furia band too.
Yeah,
just with like different costumes.
And maybe every band, like they're also the Jabba's Palace, like dancers and everything. Like they're doing the whole gambit.
They're just everything.
Yeah.
Okay.
The Jabba Flow band. They're everybody.
Yeah.
Of course. Very good. Okay. I think. Actually, when I started doing this list, I realized there's not a ton of like big name characters in that first movie. There's just like a small core cast. So we might have to
feel free to jump into like an animated show too.
Have we talked Vader? Have we gone Vader yet? Like who would Vader?
Vader.
Vader's tough because like the energy is like not there with any of these Muppets because they're all. Right. You know what? Uncle Deadly might be a good Vader.
Yeah, Uncle Deadly. I was saving for Palpatine. But he could work for Vader too. I keep thinking about there's a Gonzo Vader. It might be in Muppets in Space, the movie that they made a Gonzo Vader helmet. I could be completely wrong.
That's interesting. That doesn't make sense to me though.
I know it's a little too manic. It's not the correct personality. Yeah. We're going more.
Could Gonzo be more of the Anakin, like before he becomes Vader, maybe?
Oh, like
it would be funny though having Hayden Christensen again. Like if we're thinking about like who's the one actor you bring, it would be funny to have Hayden Christensen playing against like Miss Piggy as Padme, or whatever. Anyway,
imagine the lake moments from episode 2, but with Miss Piggy.
Them like rolling in the grass. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
That's an easy thought.
No, I'm right. It was a fever. I haven't watched the new. I guess Darth Vader is in. Muppet, and that's Gonzo, right?
Mm-hmm. They make it interesting because it's just the helmet, but like it's got a black nose.
Right. I'm trying to put it in the chat, but it's not letting me. But it's fine. But yeah. So, but Gonzo, you're right. And we're talking about canon, where we're talking about all the pictures. Gonzo's always been Vader, I think, because of that Darth Vader appearance in the Muppet Show.
Oh, that would make sense.
But it doesn't like super work for me. But
you have a better memory than I do, though. I remember watching the Muppets Baby episode years ago, but I can't remember anyone that they assigned to who. And you were like, "Oh yeah, Scooter was C-3PO on the Muppet Babies."
Of course,
yeah,
of course, yeah. Everyone knows.
It's because my life's meaningless and I have no actual joy. That and they did an Indiana Jones one as well that always like really stuck out to me. Like blockbuster VHSs about.
Yeah,
Muppets and Lucasfilm just make sense together in my head. I don't know what it is.
They really do.
Well, I mean, they work together on Henson and Lucas worked on Labyrinth together, and
of course Yoda.
Yeah,
obviously. Of course, Yoda is just Frank Oz's Yoda in this movie.
Yeah, because they try to assign, again, we're talking canon, we're talking action figure canon, and they tried to give Yoda to somebody.
Rizzo or something, probably.
Yeah, and I was like, they gave it to Rizzo, and I was like, I mean, again, size. They were going size, and I was like, yeah, you could do Rizzo. It would be funny to have Rizzo as all the Ewoks or something instead.
That would be good.
Just like all the rats, and then have Rizzo as Wicket.
Rizzo and Pepe kind of give off the dudes that Luke meets in the cantina from A New Hope.
Yeah.
I can't think of his name now. It's like Dr. something and
Dr. Evans and Ponda Baba.
Yeah, where he's like,
I keep saving these characters. I keep saving Pepe for Salacious Crumb. I think he'd be great.
That would be a good one too.
But we're going to the sequels now. First, the first one has to be successful for us to get the green light for 5 and 6, because otherwise
it's like we're saving Animal to be the Ewoks. I would think
just a bunch. That would be. I would turn off the show. Like that's enough. Yeah. Animal's great for me.
Animal as the Ewoks fixes the 3 however many year long problem of like, oh, how did the Ewoks beat the stormtroopers?
Right. It was Animal. Pretty good because he'd be very
They just pop up and he's just like rocks, and starts throwing rocks at all the stormtroopers.
And it would fix the tone issue. It's like, wow, why are they playing drums with their heads?
That would be great. No, I like that because they do play the drums at the end with the stormtrooper helmets and stuff. Like it could all really work if Animal was also then in the Cantina band and in the Max Rebo band, then you're like, what are we doing?
Then they're worried about the canon, which is
right. Then that's where I keep going back to. Yeah. Can't accept the Muppet Wikipedia that I'm gonna create after this episode.
Exactly.
That's gonna be.
I think Scooter, just because I'm a big Scooter guy. I think he would fit well as kind of like a like secondary like pilot, or like one of the like extra pilots.
He's Wedge.
Yeah, he would be a good Wedge.
And you could have him in all 3 movies. He's helpful to Luke, so he's like a friend.
And then when he comes back in episode 9, we'll cheer about it.
You're just like, yeah, we did it.
We brought
Scooter has gray hair. We did it.
Yeah.
Yes.
I was the only person in my theater for episode 9 that cheered when Wedge showed up.
I feel like me and Jackson were the only ones that noticed.
Yes,
because it was such a quick thing, and I was just like, was that who yes, that was who I thought it was. Okay, yep.
Yeah, it was great that he was back, but I'm like, where were 5 more minutes of Wedge just kind of hanging out? That'd be great.
Yeah. You can find those in Resistance Reborn.
Great.
true.
That
I
was
did
a
read
good
that,
book.
and I was like, it was good. Well, who came back? Riken came back in that. That's when
Yeah.
I was like, yeah, we got Riken, baby.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, it was a good book. That's for another episode. That's if we can get Brandon to
Another
come
time.
Story
back
for
sometime.
another time,
Yeah.
as they say.
Okay. Oh, I had one. And I lost it, I think. Oh, okay. Will, this is a question for you because I know you're big fans.
Yeah.
Statler and Waldorf, where do they fit in?
Let me think. In the context of just the original, right?
We can expand. If,
Yeah,
if,
go
if we
anywhere you
need to.
want. It's not okay. It's all good.
I feel like they would be like among the Senate crew, like in the prequels, like when Palpatine would say something.
They have a pod.
He's like,
That's
when
funny.
this attack on my life has left me scarred and deformed. Like they'd be in their own pod, and they'd be like, "Didn't deform you enough." Oh,
That would be funny. I like that.
They'd just be floating in a pod continuously, giving their own their own context.
I've got one. I'm following DJ's expanded rule. Jar Jar is Fozzie.
I like that.
That's a good.
I like that better
fit.
than him as Chewbacca. Yeah.
Yeah, you imagine pulling that tongue.
Yeah. Waka
I
waka.
like it. No, that's good.
That's a good pull. Fozzie is Jar Jar. Let's see who else is on here.
You still don't have a confirmed Gonzo, correct?
No.
I don't think we've settled on a Gonzo yet.
Who
Or
are
Could
the
Darth
Gonzos
Gonzo-
Vader.
again?
Could Gonzo be Lando? Like,
Ooh.
you know, like Lando. It
Yeah,
could kind of work.
He kind of like pops in. He's like, "Hey, it's me, Gonzo."
He wears a cape. You know, it kind of works.
So, should Pepe, if he's not salacious, be Akbar?
Because he's a prawn.
Yeah.
That's funny, Will. That's a good one. I like that.
All right, I'm gonna lock that one in then. Akbar.
I like this. This is good. Trying to think who else. I made this list. Why am I not looking at it? Okay, I think casting Boba would be fun as well.
Ooh, that would be good.
Boba Fett.
Yeah,
Um,
that's a tough one though. I'm trying.
I could see Rizzo being Boba though.
You can see Rizzo being everyone.
Yeah.
I think it would be funny if he was super tiny too.
Yeah.
And he's gotta push the carbonite. That's good. I like that.
Bobo the bear would make a good Dooku.
Let's see that. They made. I'm looking up Boba. They made the action figure animal as Boba, which I don't agree with. I think that's
No,
stupid.
not at all.
That's
There
bad.
are so many better. You gotta get these people on the show, and you got
Yeah.
some
Oh, I'm gonna
questions to
yell at
ask
them. I'm gonna be like,
Lucasfilm,
hey,
hire us to make things.
Disney treat the Muppets with respect would be the whole.
Yeah. I'm looking over our list here. I think this is a little tough. I think we're looking pretty good. I think we've got a decent cast. I don't want to sit here and him and haw about it too much.
Mm-hmm. Are there any? Because I think we've tackled the majority of the original trilogy.
Mm-hmm.
Sequel trilogy and original trilogy, we can play around with a little bit. I feel like.
Yeah.
Is there any character that you could be like, yeah?
We need this. That's a good question. Darth Maul is a good question.
Darth Maul would be cool. The problem is no one is evil in the Muppets.
That's
You know what
the
I
problem
mean?
with
Like
the Muppets, yeah.
But
And
there's some
so-
characters I feel like would be fun to see in that role. You know, like
Right.
not as much as like, oh, this person matches up as much as like imagine this dude as that guy. That would be fun.
Who's
Like,
the one?
we gotta
Muppet-
get-
Who's the Muppet from the 2015 show? Is it Carl?
Walter.
The like janitor.
Oh,
Who's the guy that he's just like a tall Muppet, and he just has like the big floppy mouth. I can't think of his name off the top of my head.
are you talking about Sweetums or no?
No, not Sweetums. I'll look it up while we keep talking real quick.
Okay, I've got a casting. This one should be easy. Little Annie is Robin.
Ooh.
He's like
That'd be
cute.
good. Yeah. I do love thinking about the Padres and just like every Podracer being a Muppet, you know, like that would just be the best.
So good.
That would fit it perfectly.
Yeah. I mean, they're already, half of them are puppets anyway. Like it would be the
Yeah.
best.
That's good. I like that. This is good. I like.
I'm looking at Grievous on here. Who would be Grievous?
Who's somebody? Is there anyone that coughs?
We got the coughing Muppets.
The only thing that I could think would be funny would be doing, because Grievous fights Obi-Wan, so you could do Swedish Chef versus Swedish Chef, and so the Swedish Chef has 4 arms instead of 2 human arms. You know, it could be kind of a funny bit.
I like that.
having-
I think that's funny.
It's just
but
the
that
Swedish
could-
chef doubling his.
Yeah, it's like
Grievous?
that goes against Muppet rules, right? You never see, but actually, Muppets Most Wanted, you just put a mole on Swedish Chef, and he's a completely different character. So
Yeah.
it's okay.
Oh,
Put him in robot armor, and he said it put 4 arms, and now he's a new guy. Obviously,
Right.
yeah. So
Yeah.
I was thinking of the right thing. It's Big Mean Carl, the guy that was like the
Oh.
receptionist. He would be a
Yes.
good fit somewhere as like a evil guy, just because he's so
Mhm.
sassy.
It's funny. Yeah. This is
Like he
good.
could almost be a Tarkin.
I love
He's
Samuel
the one who
Starkin,
also
though.
he also is the one who just eats everything.
Yeah.
He could be
He's
a
that
good
dude's
Dooku
fun.
or something, or
Jabba.
Snoke. He could be a good Snoke.
Oh yeah, that'd be a good Snoke.
No. Yes. I like this. I think we've got a pretty good list here. Do we have any last minute major submissions?
We're missing a
not-
Gonzo, confirmed Gonzo currently, which I feel like I don't know much from.
Confirmed.
I don't know much about Muppets, but I feel like that's one that we got to lock down.
Yeah,
here.
we gotta lock down the
Yeah.
Gonzo casting.
I think Gonzo. Okay, here's my take. I think we stick Gonzo as Darth Vader because I think he plays a cool Anakin.
That's a good. And then you tie it all the way back.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
when we have the final scene, it'll all come together.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And then you get very confused when Robin plays him as a child. And which is okay. That's okay. These things happen. All right. Okay. I'm gonna run through the list of what we got here. 'Cause we've got some good things. We've got, of course, Mark Hamill as Luke Skywalker. He's got some Muppet legacy, the prowess to act. Kermit the Frog as Han Solo. Miss Piggy as Princess Leia. Fozzie Bear as Jar Jar Binks, of course. Gonzo as Anakin and Darth Vader. Scooter as Wedge Antilles. Pepe the King Prawn as Admiral Akbar. Rizzo the Rat as Boba Fett. Dr. Teeth and Electric Mayhem as Cantina Band / the Max Rebo Band / any other band you may run across in Star Wars. Bunsen and Beaker as C-3PO and R2-D2 respectively, which is an important distinction. Sam Eagle as Grand Moff Tarkin. Statler and Waldorf as Senate members number 1,000,007. The Swedish Chef as Obi-Wan and General Grievous. We've got Camilla the Chicken and her various chicken compadres as the clones / stormtroopers. And let me see if we've got any more major ones. And Robin playing little Anakin Skywalker.
The chickens work really well now that we put Gonzo as Vader as well.
Yeah.
That all
Yes,
kind of
that
ties
makes
together.
Swedish Chef as Obi-Wan is just so perfect though. It gets better the more I think about it.
Imagine you've run into a strange man in the desert and he's like, "Hey, I knew your dad and I'm going to teach you how to be a space wizard," but also he just speaks incomprehensible gibberish the entire time.
And you're like, maybe I should listen to this guy. You know, he might have some good points.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's our official Cantina Conversations Muppet Star Wars cast.
Yeah. That's a good cast. I will await Disney and Lucasfilm's call
Right.
for us to get that
Yeah.
special for Disney Plus.
Plug the
going.
email. Just
Yeah.
it's in our Twitter bio, maybe. I don't know. Might be.
Yeah, I think it's just
Yeah.
Cantina Conversations
You
at
could just
gmail.com.
DM it, it's fine.
Yeah,
Okay.
just DM us on Twitter. Do it that way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The 4 of us will gladly write it together.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Perfect.
So I think that's going to do it for the Muppet casting then, Jackson. Is that right?
Yeah, I'm happy with what we've got. It'll be in production in the next couple of years, so just
Okay,
everyone keep
yeah.
an eye out.
Yeah. Look
It's
forward
the
to
Ryan
it on
Johnson
IMDb.
trilogy. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what
exactly.
Oh, I bet he would do it good. Yeah. Just look forward to that on IMDb. That'll be
Yeah.
the update.
I'll go edit it.
All right, so I think that's going to do it for this episode of the Cantina Conversations. Then, Brandon, once again, if I have not praised you enough in the last hour, thank you for joining us for this episode. It was a blast having you on. I hope sometime down the line in the future you'd be willing to return for a different topic.
Yes, thank you for inviting me. Thank you for having me. And yeah, anytime, as long as there's not a blizzard or whatever is happening in Texas, I'm in. So just email me whenever.
Okay, awesome. Anyone have any closing thoughts before we round the table to plug our socials?
I'm just really happy we got to talk about the Muppets a little bit. It's really, I will say, okay, here's the thing. I didn't say this at the beginning, but now I feel this was inspired by a TikTok series where this lady casted the Muppets into Star Wars, and I thought she did a very bad job in the casting. I think her presentation was good. I'm sure her videos are very good, but disagreed with a lot of her castings. She also was casting a lot of Sesame Street characters, which is not the same thing. They're different. So yeah, I held that back, but I had to mention it.
Okay. DJ, do you have anything to say? I know you're the man of many words.
Oh yeah, I have much to say. I'm glad we got the Muppets out of our system. Maybe we can not have a Muppet segment of every single show for the next 2 months. Maybe we'll bring it back eventually, but let's move on for a bit.
Yeah. Okay. Well, then let's just go around the horn here and start off with Brandon. Why don't you go ahead and plug yourself away where people can find you at?
Yeah, you can find me everywhere at Talking Bay 94, Twitter and Instagram mostly, and then anywhere you listen to podcasts, I am there. So episode 99, I don't know when this is coming out, is David Carson, and then episode 100 is hopefully Tony McVeigh, who sculpted Salacious Crumb and did the Gamorrean Guards and Mandalorian, and so that should be really cool. And yeah, that's it. That's all I got.
Perfect. DJ,
Awesome.
Where can they find you at?
At DJ_Gillard on Twitter.
Jackson, where can they find you?
You can catch me at Jackson WS on Twitter. I'm like probably going to be tweeting about the Muppets show, so if that's something you're interested in, keep your eyes out.
And you can find me personally on Twitter at WO Beeman, or you could find the show on Twitter at Cantina Convo. Give us a tweet if there's any Muppet you think we left out in our casting at all. Make sure you guys follow Brandon's show and tune in and listen to those. Until next time, thank you for joining, and may the Force be with you.